amazing souls in the room with you. Is there anything particular? Is there a burning question anybody has as it relates to building a business or personal development? What's some of the things they would want to get out of this conversation we're about to have? What would be some of the most critical things that we could touch on? Because like you said, we could talk from now till tomorrow on unlocking our brain and creating more freedom in our own personal life. What are some of the goals, if anybody wants to share, that they would like me to touch on today? Everybody looks at each other. I don't know what, I'm not talking to him. Anything in particular?
Okay, probably maybe if you can go ahead with the training. So along the way,
got it. Okay.
They are going to be unlocked. They will jot questions down, and
sure.
They will ask questions as we go.
So here's the first question. Well, I'll tell you just one more thing about myself, because it's important, it's important to understand, does he understand where we're at, right? I'm a parent of an amazing young man, Mason, who's our boy. He's 15. And when I try to coach him, when I try to train him, when I try to be his dad, he doesn't think I understand where he's at, because he's 15 and I'm not. I'm much older. So I come out of this powerful profession of network marketing, MLM. And this past May, I started a new organization, working with a group down there. And we've put a little over 2,000 people in our business in the last 70 days. So I know what it's like to build in the field. I know what it's like to run corporate entities, global businesses. I say that to say this. All of my success doesn't mean a darn thing unless you can use it. So let's start off with, why are we here? And we're going to get kind of philosophical a little bit, but here's why we're all here. It's because of this thing inside of this little cranium. We're all here because of our brain. Everything we do goes through our brain. And what I mean by that is, you woke up this morning. Well, let me ask this. How many of you believe, there's an amazing group that I'm looking at on the screen. How many of you believe your thoughts can influence your day? How many of you believe your thoughts can have some influence on your day? Let me see a show of hands. Okay, good. So here's my next question. How many of you woke up this morning and put down all of the thoughts you were going to have so you'd never have any bad thoughts? See, I can't raise my hand on that one either. Everything that happens in our life happens in our brain. The beliefs we have, the frustrations we have. So if we could, in the course of the next hour, 2 hours, however long we're going to spend here today, if we could unlock some of the secrets to our personal success, to your success, would that be a good thing? I see some heads going up and down. Cool. So here's my point. What is it that you think keeps you from achieving success? What is it? Every one of you are absolutely brilliant. As a matter of fact, do me a favor. Look at the person sitting next to you and say, hey, good afternoon, genius. Because every one of you are geniuses. I mean this with all of my heart. Well, how can I say that? Because here's the thing. Of all of the people that were invited to the event, of all of the people that could be at this event, you're here. You are a genius. You said, Mubalaji invited me? it's going to be about me being able to do more, be more, have more, I'm going to be here. So you made a decision, whether it be 10 minutes ago or 10 days ago, to be here. So then let me ask this question. How many of us have ever set goals? I wanted to create more money. I wanted to put more people in my business. I wanted to work out more. We set a goal, we write it down, we get excited about it, and then we don't do it. I've been one of those people for the last 50 years. Here's why the brain forces us to stay safe. You may want to write that down. The brain keeps me safe. So here's the reality. If I were to go outside in my front yard here in Dallas, Texas, there's a pattern of what my front yard should look like. There's houses across the street. There's some cars that drive by. But if all of a sudden something is out of order, there's fire trucks, there's police in the street, that would be a change from what my front yard would normally look like. That would cause me to say, I wonder what's going on. Well, what does that have to do with us in Nigeria? When you set a goal, the brain is looking for the pattern that existed yesterday that makes this goal possible. So how many of us would agree that if we're going to go after a goal, we're going to have to do something we've never done? Would you all agree with that? To go after a goal, we've got to do something we've never done. Okay, so if we've got to do something we've never done, how does doing something we've never done make us feel? It doesn't make us feel too good. And then to do it consistently, we have to change our thoughts. And changing our thoughts, the brain says, wait a minute, that's not necessary. And this all happens in a chemical factory inside of the brain, from dopamine to epinephrine to all of these different things that happen inside of the brain. We're not going to go into the science of it, but yeah, we will. We'll talk a little bit about it. So how many of you, what would be your ultimate goal? Mubalaji, help me out. The folks that are watching this, are they in network marketing, or what are some of their backgrounds?
Okay. They are into network marketing. I can say they are into they're entrepreneurial in nature. Okay. And they are open to making things better, not only for themselves, but for people all around them. So they are ready to make things happen for themselves and people all around them as well. So they are open to all options that will be good for humanity, basically.
Okay. So I've been blessed to have many mentors in my life. Some of the great ones, they're all amazing. Bob Proctor used to say to me, he'd say, Murph, in order for anyone to have to do business, whether it's an entrepreneur, whether it's network marketing, we need to be able to communicate with people. So we just need to be better at people. We don't, the products that are in this bottle, I don't know the ingredients. I just drink them. So I don't need to get into the details as much as I need to understand how people act. And people are based on patterns. How many of you today woke up this morning in the same room you normally go to sleep in? How many of you went and used the facilities? You washed your face the same way, maybe you brushed your teeth the same way, maybe you got dressed the way people would normally want to see you to be dressed. We've gotten into these patterns. And if we're going to understand how people act when we communicate with them, we need to understand they are operating in their pattern. So if I were to say the word up, most times the first word comes to mind is down. If I were to say the word in, what might come into your mind? Out, hot, cold. See, our brain is designed to look for the opposites. It's looking to say, if this is true, where's the thing that could scare me the most that would keep me safe? So when I say that, what I mean is people, when you talk to them about business, when you talk to them about having more, so if I were to say the word, let's have more, what are most people going to instantly think? What's the opposite of more? Less. It's just the way the brain is designed. It's designed to keep us safe. It's also designed to look for routines. How many of you have ever been, right now you're in an office room, you're in a classroom, and there's a particular sound that's in the classroom. If all of a sudden there was a large crash, like glasses falling down and breaking on the floor, that would get our attention, right? Well, why? Because it's a break in pattern. So here's what I'd want you to write this down. Everyone operates on a pattern. Every one of you in the room today has a particular pattern that if you do something different, if you act different, somebody would say to you, have you lost your mind? Anybody in the room have children? Okay, so have your kids ever done something that's just made you shake your head? I mean, besides the last 5 minutes, right? So if you've ever said to them, have you lost your mind? Right? Think about that. Have you lost your mind? What is mind? Mind is not the brain. Mind is the pattern that they broke. Think about this. When we talk to our kids or somebody says to us, our friends, are you nuts? Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? It proves that they are operating outside of their normal pattern. Well, Sean, I want to grow my business. I get it. We need to understand the foundation. Because here's my question. If we could grow business and it be a lot easier, would that be a good thing? So this is why I want to make sure we totally understand the foundation. How many of you have met a new person in the last 3 or 4 months, in the last 3 or 4 weeks? Have you ever just encountered somebody new? What was that conversation? Do you have a pattern when you meet somebody new? Do you feel comfortable when you meet somebody new? Do you feel a little nervous when you meet somebody new? If I were to take you and I was to ask Captain, hey, Captain, I'm not going to do the training anymore. You pick somebody in the room and let them speak for the next hour. How many of you might get a little nervous? Right?
It's more like, when you came in, we're actually expecting you to come in like 30 minutes time, but probably due to change in time, you came in on time. So that actually destabilized me. I was already nervous that, gosh.
So here's my point. We all operate in a pattern that makes us acceptable to our friends. This is key. I hope I'm making this clear. So if you see Captain and he's wearing the colorful shirt, like I'm wearing a colorful shirt. If all of a sudden he changes the way he dresses, somebody's going to go, what are you doing? Why are you wearing that? How come you have that on? How come you're using that pen? Oh, you got a new phone? Ooh, right? When we break patterns, our friends find ways to try to pull us back into the pattern. See, this is part of life. How many of us have ever seen we've seen where fish or birds are flying together and they all fly in a pattern, and somehow they all know to fly inside of that pattern? It's because they are all limited to what they believe they can do. How many of you believe right now, whether you're those of you live in the room or watching this replay, how many of you believe you deserve more? So how many of you in the last year have done more than you ever thought possible? I can't raise my hand. Well, and I teach this and I coach this because the pattern that runs in our brain is so powerful. So if you are going to go have a conversation with people, if you are going to ask and teach people to help them do more, be more, what is your biggest objection they're going to have? This may surprise you. It has nothing to do with the price of your product. It has nothing to do with the service you can provide. The biggest objection you will ever have is their past. How many of you can remember from when you were a child somebody laughing at you, somebody making fun of you, a friend, a cousin, a teacher, and you just felt absolutely horrible? Has anybody ever had that experience where somebody laughed at you or made you feel bad and you can still remember it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So why? Why? See, we're the only species that can get scared to death, can be made fun of, and it burns itself into our brain and we never forget it.
Good.
There's things that you can think about in your life right now that I could make you start to sweat, whether it was a bill or a tragedy or something. I can change your state of mind by going to your past.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. I can change your physical body. Now, somebody do this. How many of you can remember your first kiss? Look, I just proved it. I changed your state. I changed your body. And you're sitting in the room and hopefully nobody's kissing each other right now. Nobody's kissing each other, right? But do you see what just happened? And usually it's the ladies in the room who laugh more than the men. Why? Because we think we're good kissers. Y'all get this? Y'all see what happened? I asked you about your first kiss, and most of us started giggling. It wasn't yet. Was anybody's first kiss yesterday? Was it what? No, I hope not. You see what I'm saying? It was years ago, but it was the most awkward and clumsy, and some of us it was horrible. Others of us it was amazing. But see, that memory is in there. You see how that memory showed up? And that's called a quantum jump. And a quantum jump is this. We're here in time, and I said, go back to your first kiss. Nobody thought about yesterday or the day before or the week before or last year or 10 years ago. You went from this moment to that moment like that. This is why it's so important we understand how the brain operates. So when you start to talk to people about success, about you're going to help them have more, do more, be more, you're going to teach them how to break through, break free, and have this amazing life. And they go, yeah, and then they never do anything. If you've ever had somebody so excited to get started, to build a business, and then 2 days later they were like, and they came up with how many of you have heard a lot of excuses from people? Right? Oh my gosh, my dog, my cat, the rain, the sun, the moon came out. It's because of their brain. Their brain said, different is not safe. Different is not safe. So we as entrepreneurs, we as business builders have to realize we have to help people through an addiction to themselves. This is so powerful. Now, again, I didn't create it. I've been teaching it for years, but people are addicted to incremental, small growth, right? If somebody in the room tomorrow showed up and they were 5 inches taller, right? Everybody in the room, you guys all, because you came to this class, you all tomorrow, you're 5 inches taller. People would go, what happened to you? Right? They would be shocked. Well, when you start to build your business and you start to think differently, you're not 5 inches taller, you're 5 feet taller, you're 10 feet taller, you're bulletproof, you have this internal desire. And people say, what's wrong with you? Why are you always talking about business? Why are you always talking about success? Why are you always talking about change? We can't change. And then we say, you know what? You're probably right. This business doesn't work. I shouldn't do this. When we understand that people are addicted to approval, it's worse. It's really worse than drugs. It is a drug because the drug is in our brain. And with somebody who drinks alcohol or somebody who takes drugs or smokes marijuana or does and they're addicted to it, they have to physically get the product, take it, and put it in their body. Addiction to approval is 24 hours a day in our brain. 24 hours a day, our brain is saying, do they like me? Do I like them? What do I have to do to be liked? What did I do to make somebody upset? I don't want to make anybody upset. And so it's important to realize our own addictions. What's the first thing any addict has to do? Anybody who's addicted to something has to first agree or admit to what? They have an addiction, right? Alcoholics Anonymous. They say, hi, I'm Sean and I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Sean. But it's this constant reminder we're addicted. Here's my point. If you were to say your name, let's see, I see Dano there. I see the captain there. I see Maxwell. If you were to say, hi, I'm Maxwell and I'm addicted to my thoughts. You know what that means? It's the first time maybe you realize how helpless we truly are. Now, our thoughts are good things. Our brain is a good thing, because how many of us have ever had a moment in time where our environment forced us to respond and we never even had time to think, right? Catching a glass that was about to fall, or catching our baby, or keeping them from tripping, or something. See, if we have these moments where our instinct has kicked in, that's a good thing. We've been able to save something, keep something from breaking, keep somebody safe from tripping. That instinct is also there every time we say, I want more. The brain goes, whoa, whoa, stop. Whoa, no. More is unsafe. More is scary. And the brain figures out a way to stop us. It's called procrastination. Anybody in the room a procrastinator? We put things off. We'll raise our hands tomorrow. When we understand that all of these, see, you're in this amazing room right now. I don't know, 6, 9 folks there, and another dozen of folks on the watching from their homes and places. You're an amazing community of people. See, you're all addicted to having more. If every one of you knows 5 more people right now, so 6, 9 times 5, there's 45 people who say they want. How many people say, we want you to win, you should do this, but they do things that prove they really don't want us to win? See, success is a math game. It is a math problem. There's 9 of you in the room. When you leave that room today, there's going to be 100 people who don't want you to succeed. Now, they don't come out and say it, though, you're a failure. But they do things to keep you stuck.
Sure.
So success is a math game. A lot of times we say, well, I'm going to write down my goals. I'm going to write down my goals and I'm going to read them every day. Well, that's good. But if you go on to social media and you see where people don't agree with you, you have friends and family who don't think you can do this, it's a math problem. So how do we deal with our environment? How do we deal with people? Does anybody know somebody that's negative? That's who they are. They have this negative mindset. There's hundreds of them. Well, how do we deal with, well, I'm going to go change the world. Start with you first. Right? Start with you first. I don't know if you've all heard the saying, you are the average of your 5 closest friends. So if you look at your 5 closest friends, you're the average of them, whether it be in money, in relationships, in a variety of things. I'm going to tell you this. If you continue on your path, if you continue to do what you want to do, if you continue to achieve your goals, how many of you believe you may have some new friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sean, you don't know. I live in this small community. I'll never get out of here. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, said, think you're right, think you're wrong, either way, you're right. Think you can, think you can't, either way, you're right. You have this amazing opportunity, and I'm just so blessed to be a part of what we're having a conversation about today. But do you realize that 20 years ago, we could not have this conversation today, me having a conversation in Nigeria, sitting in my home in Dallas? This did not exist. So right now, you have this opportunity to have global mentors. You have an opportunity to have a global audience for yourself. Yeah, but I don't have all. I would encourage you to ask the universe to give you what you want as opposed to agreeing with what you don't have now. This is huge. How many of you have ever been talking to a friend or you ran into them in town and you go, I was just thinking about you.
Mm.
You ever have that happen?
Yes.
There's a phenomenon, listen carefully, called neural resonance. What that means is, how many of you have friends go, I love you, you just get the way I think. We think so much alike, you finish each other's sentences. That's called neural resonance.
Neural resonance.
Neural resonance. And so they've proven this in MRIs, right, where they put you in that tube and they scan your body with magnetic imaging. And they've actually, with fMRIs, functional magnetic resonance imaging machines, if the captain and I were talking for an hour together and they put us in two MRIs, they would see that our brains were operating at the same frequency because we were tuned in to each other. What does all this have to do with building my business? Everything. So I grew up on a farm. We had cattle. Anybody grow up around a farm or with animals? So if you have ever tried, I can lead a cow a lot better than I can lead a cat. Cats just don't want to pay attention. But I can lead a cow. My point is that when we meet somebody for the first time, their brain is doing this and our brain is doing this. And we're telling them, I've got a great product. I've got a great solution. We can make a lot of money. And their brain's going, I don't know what you're saying. I'll listen to you, I'll smile, and I'll say yes, but I don't believe it. If we can find how we can get our brains in sync. How many of you have heard the word or the concept, develop rapport, get to know them? Well, see, the thing I think that I love about Africa and I love about folks in Nigeria, I have a lot of friends who I deal with in Africa who I've met around the world, but there's this community, this sense of community that's stronger there than in most places in the world. I've stood on stage in 30 countries around the world, been translated into 40 plus languages. There is just this community, this sense of community that's stronger in your culture than it is in most other. The Latinos, the Latin market, they have a pretty strong culture too. So here's three things. If I could share with you the three questions, and I think Captain knows these, but if I could share with you three questions that would help in any conversation, whether you're speaking to your spouse, you're speaking to your children, you're speaking to your business partners, if I could give you three questions that would help you in every conversation from today going forward, would those be three good questions to learn? Good. Here's question number one. Well, let me set the stage. How many of you, by show of hands, how many of you really, really want to help people? I knew that answer. I knew you would all raise your hands. How many times does somebody say they want your help, but then they never use it? Anybody ever have that happen?
That was the question again.
Exactly. So here's the point. If we are going to help somebody and they say they want our help, but then they don't use it, who feels bad?
I feel bad.
So our brain, listen, remember, our brain operates in a pattern. So if I'm going to help you and you say you want my help and then you don't do it, How does that make me feel? Makes me feel bad. And how many of you in the room want to feel bad?
No, I don't want to feel bad.
So if you don't want to feel bad, how do you avoid feeling bad? By not helping people. Does that make sense?
No.
So I agree. So here's the point. The first question you want to ask people, if you're going to be in a conversation where you have some information that they could benefit from. So if you have some good stuff and they want it, here's the first question I would encourage you to learn to ask. First question is, do I have your permission to help? Do I have your permission to help? See, when Mubalaji and I first met 2 years ago, it was on a Facebook conversation, and I was sitting, I had just come out, I remember it clear as day. I was in Oklahoma City, and I had just come out of getting my hair cut, and I was sitting in my car in the parking lot, and we were talking on Facebook Messenger. And the first thing I said to him, I said, Mubalaji, I need to ask you 3 questions. And the first question was, do I have your permission to help? Now, here's why that's important. Do I have your permission to help? They only have one of 2 answers. What are the 2 answers?
Yes or no.
Right? So if they say yes, that means we can now have a dialogue. How many of you were children at one time? How many of you remember your mom or your dad or somebody always talking to you, and you went, yeah, but I'm telling you, I'm talking, you be quiet.
Yes.
Right? How many of you have done that with your children? That's called a monologue. A monologue is where one person talks and the other person listens. Sales, helping people is not a monologue. It's a dialogue. We've got to have conversation from both sides. So that was the greatest sound ever, wherever that came from. So whenever we say we're going to help people, they have to want our help. So they say yes. Let's say they say yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we get all excited. I can help you. Yay! What does that mean the other person instantly feels? If the brain operates on a pattern, instantly they feel what? Helpless. They feel like they are now less than you. So the key when asking this question, hey, do I have your permission to help you? Is to say it in a way that says they are going to get value. So I'll give you an example. And this is going to take practice because it's not a normal dialogue. I've done this in 35 languages. Not me, I don't speak 35 languages. But I've done it in everything from Arabic to Chinese to Spanish to French to you name it. It's important for you to add your own personal flair, your own personal touch to this. So let me give you an example. So I said, hey, Mubalaji, hey, listen, before we get started, right? Because started means we're going to do something. Hey, listen, Mubalaji, before we get started, I got to ask you 3 questions. Are you okay if I ask you 3 questions? And he said, yeah. I said, here's the first one. It's going to sound kind of different, but I really want to make sure I bring value to you. Do I have your permission to help? And listen, it's not that I know things you don't. You'll help me just as much. But in what we're talking about today, I may have some answers that could really help you. Is it okay if I help you today? Now, if you say it that way, versus, hey, listen, I'm going to help you today. Is that okay? That's a totally different conversation. But if you set the stage where it's okay for you to have some knowledge they don't, that's what this question is for. So the first question is, do I have your permission to help? So I'm going to ask you all that now that we've been talking for 45 minutes. By show of hands, do I have your permission to help you? Maybe give you some new ideas. Okay, I see one in the back. I see other. Okay, good, good, good. So about half of you. So that's important because guess what? Guess what you get to do? Remember what we talked about earlier? That if you have a conversation with somebody and they don't use your information, how does it make you feel? It makes us feel bad, right? So what I'm wanting to teach you today is how to avoid feeling bad. So, hey, listen, do I have your permission to help? They're either going to say yes or they're going to say what?
No.
And if they say no, your presentation is over. Now, I can tell you in probably my research, my personal research where I've done this, asked this questions, I've gotten to know 1 out of 1,000. That means 999 people agreed, at least in principle, that they wanted my help. Now, has everybody who's asked for my help and I've given it, have they used it?
No.
But at least we set the stage for success. How many of you would want to set the stage to have better success than you did yesterday? That's what this does. So number one, do I have your permission to help? This is you got to practice this with your friends. Question number two, you may want to write this down. Listen, okay, awesome. So I'm going to help. I'm going to do my best to help you. Question number two is, I really need you to answer this honestly. Do I have your permission to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? Now, think about this. How many of you have ever had a conversation and you could tell by their body language or their language that you made somebody uncomfortable? You ever have a question? You ever have a conversation like that where you had a dialogue and you made somebody feel uncomfortable? I do it all the time. I'm doing it right now.
Yes.
So here's my point. So the second question is do I have your permission to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? Now remember, words have power. It's important if you're going to use these three questions, you say them as exact and as close to what I'm sharing, because it's triggering things in the brain that allow you into their brain. So it's not, hey, listen, I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable. That okay? You don't want to say that. Listen, do I have your permission to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? Now that you've said the question, you might say this. Let me explain. Captain, if we're going to go and reach a goal you've never had, wouldn't it make sense you're going to have to do something you've never done? Yep. How does doing new things make you feel? Uncomfortable. That's all I want. I want to talk about the idea of doing things different. So that being said, they have two answers that they can give to that question. Do I have your permission to make you feel uncomfortable? What are the two answers they can give? Yes or no. If you're talking to somebody who says they're serious about success, if you're talking to somebody who says they want to have more, if you're talking to somebody who says, I need to change my life, are they going to, will they stay comfortable? Can they do all of those change and have more and do more by staying the same? They can't. So how many of you have heard the conversation or have been told you need to qualify your prospects, right? You need to find out where they're at. These 3 questions are the 3 most powerful questions to get that. Without them having to tell their life story, they will tell you their life story. So, number 1, what's number 1? Hey, do I have your permission to help? We're going to share some ideas. I'm going to do my best to help you, but is it okay if I help you? Now, you have all done this. How many of you have ever worked or who have ever babysat or been out at the market and you saw a child that was by themselves and you said, hey, can I help you? Are you looking for your mom or one of your nieces or nephews? And they were trying to do a puzzle and you said, can I help? Have any of you ever done that? Of course you have. Now, with your family, I know I talk to my son Mason a little different than I talk to the neighbor's kid. Why? Because I assume my authority over Mason. I can't assume authority over my neighbors. So we always ask, can I help? But how many of us have friends that we invited into our business and they said no? It's because we assumed we know each other too well. So when you're talking to a prospect, you can set the stage to change the entire outcome of the conversation. So number 1, do I have your permission to help? Number 2, hey, can I make you feel a little, is it okay in this conversation if I make you feel a little bit uncomfortable and maybe show you some new things? And if they say yes, awesome. They're going to love question number 3. Question number 3 is, can I take you out of that uncomfortable feeling? Can I bring you back to a state of mind where you're happy and you're comfortable? Is it okay if I take you out of that uncomfortable feeling? Right? Because remember, how many of you remember taking tests in school? And if the teacher said, it used to make me break out in a sweat. Hey, today we're having a surprise quiz. I'm like, on what? And I would never do well on those because I would get so nervous. Here's my point. If you're going to start talking to people about a product they've never heard, a service they've never heard, you're going to talk about a compensation plan, you're going to talk about stuff coming from the United States or Canada or Russia or wherever, if they're not used to that conversation in their brain, they will shut down. How many of you have ever had a conversation with somebody and they were engaged and then all of a sudden you said something and you saw them just shut down? We've all had these conversations. Most people shut down when you say MLM or network marketing or let's go into business together because it's not part of their daily conversation. See, you are, in everybody that's watching this, you are a dream giver. Most people are dream crushers. Most people don't want you to succeed. Most people can't even wrap their arms around success. They complain about everything. So when you come along and you say, oh my gosh, I've got this amazing opportunity, what's the first thing that has to go through their head? If you have an amazing opportunity, what's the opposite of amazing opportunity? An amazing failure. Yeah, but they never say that. Okay, so let me prove my point. How many of you in the room have thought about 20 different things since I've been talking that had nothing to do with what I'm talking about? You thought about the house or the kids or the car or the this or the that, right? You thought about all these other things while I'm having this dialogue. Your subconscious, that thing that operates underneath the conscious brain, has been trying to change your thoughts so you don't hear this, because this training could change who you are, and the brain is doing its best to avoid change. Because every one of you are breaking your pattern right now for success. Anybody in the room ever been on a Zoom with somebody from Dallas before? I've never been. I've done Laos. I've done. Maybe I have done Nigeria before. I've done about 5 different locations in Africa before, but I've never been on a call with these amazing souls right now that the captain knows. So this is a pattern break for me. I can tell you I've never done a 7 a.m. training call for Africa. I do a lot of 7 a.m. calls, but not for Africa, not for Nigeria. So my point is this. I want you to hear this. I want you to hear it in your heart, not in your head. I want you to get it into your heart. You are absolutely amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. You deserve this. You created this. You deserve every good thing that's about to happen in your life. I want that to sink in, because you can change the world from where you are. Because guess what? Sitting in that room today, you are changing my world. You are changing the world in Dallas, Texas today. How many of you woke up this morning and said, I'm going to change Dallas, Texas today? You did. You are. You see the power you have? You see the power this community has? So, what are the 3 questions? Do I have your permission to help? Do I have your permission to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? And if you answer, here's what I normally say. Let me share with you how I position that question. Hey, Captain, listen, I'm glad you said yes, that I have your permission to help. Here's the second question. Can I make you feel, is it okay? Do I have your permission to make you feel just a little bit uncomfortable? Well, yeah, cool, because you're going to love the third question. The third question is can I take you out of that uncomfortable feeling? And what you'll watch, ladies and gentlemen, is if you watch the body, you'll say, listen, can I make you feel a little bit uncomfortable? They may lean back a little bit. Well, yeah, absolutely. Or they'll cover their face. Yeah, sure. You just made them nervous. How many of you know if you're in a dialogue with somebody and they lean back, you just made them nervous? So watch for this stuff. You're brilliant. Every one of you are absolutely brilliant. You know this stuff. I'm just making your conscious mind aware of it. So, hey, do I have your permission to help? Well, yeah, sure, absolutely. Or they fidget in the chair. Here's the next question. I hope, and here I'm setting the stage. I hope you say yes to it. Second question is this. Do I have your permission to help? Because if you want more, maybe I can help you get more. So is it okay if I make you feel just a little bit uncomfortable? Yeah, good, because you're going to love question number 3. Question number 3 is, can I take you out? And I do this with my hands. Can I take you out of that uncomfortable feeling? Oh, and you'll see the body do this. You'll see it relax. Now you have gotten access to their heart. This is huge. It's not neuro-linguistic programming. I'm not trying to work your mind to do something you don't want to do, it's the first time for many people that somebody's really going to listen to them. Somebody's really going to pour into them. How many of you have ever had a friend or somebody you met where you just happened to be in their life at the right time and you said all of the right things and they absolutely thanked you for it? They go, I can't tell you how important, how good you made me feel today. And you're like, what'd I do? I didn't do nothing. You did. You listened to them. You heard, they were heard for the very first time. Somebody actually took some interest in them. Maybe some of you have had somebody have that conversation with you and it changed your life. That's what these dialogues are supposed to do. Help people do more, be more, have more. So, 3 questions: permission to help, permission to make you feel uncomfortable, permission to take you out of that uncomfortable feeling. Now, here's where it's so critical to understand how to help people take the next step. So you get done with those 3 questions, you now have permission to ask them anything. How many of us have not asked somebody a question because we thought we might make them feel uncomfortable? We thought we might intimidate them. We thought, well, I don't want to seem pushy. Well, guess what? You now have permission to ask them just about any question you want to ask them. So normally after those 3 questions, I would ask people to tell me where they're at. See, if I were to ask each of you, I would love to come to your home. I would love to come to Nigeria. I would love to sit at a kitchen table and have dinner with you. How do I get to your house? What's the first thing you're going to ask me? Every one of you would ask me the same question. What's the question? Where are you starting from? Does that make sense? So it's so important to find out where everybody is starting from. Sometimes when we get excited about our business, we just assume everybody wants help. Guys, this is a real challenge for us because we're the fixers. Hey, listen, do you want to make more money? You need to listen to this program. Sit down and I'll tell you what we do. Right? We're the hunters. Women have a tendency to want to help people. And so in our giving, in our helping, people take our help, but we never get a return. So then we're like, God, this is just so, it's exhausting. Ladies, how many of you have ever gone through the day and go, this is exhausting, right? So my next question is after I get through those 3 questions, if you heard the captain in his introduction of me, and I love him for this, he said, he's taught me the power of questions. The best answer you can ever get is in a question. So here's the next question. Hey, listen, Captain, we're going to have a little conversation here. In the next, I don't know, 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, what would really excite you if you could accomplish it? What would what would you get super excited about if you could accomplish a goal? There's a task, there's a goal, something that's weighing on your mind that you really need to get done. What is that? So here's what happened. How long will people wait for success? Most people want success when?
No.
And if they want it now, what kind of goal should we look for in their life? A goal that's a year off or a goal that's a week off? See, the week they can see. How many of you know what you'll have for dinner a year from now? How many of you know, kind of have an idea? How many of you know what you're going to have for dinner tonight? How many of you haven't made that decision yet? Well, but building a business isn't like getting dinner. It's exactly like getting dinner. It's a decision that has to take up brain space, that you have to do one important thing. What's that one important thing? You have to decide. So what's the number one thing people have to do to join you in business? They have to decide. And their decision is only one of two things. Yes or no. So, and they won't decide to join you in business unless what? It provides a solution to a problem they have. Well, we're not supposed to talk about problems. We're not. Those things are called goals. If somebody wants more money, if they're going to set a goal to make $500 a month, that the problem is what? They don't have $500 a month. If they're setting a goal to get healthier, what's the problem? They're not healthy. Is this making sense, folks? So, I'm going to look for a goal that is an immediate goal. How many of you believe, and this is a real question, this isn't a language conversation. How many of you believe that if you were given the chance with your product, your service, whatever it is you have, that you could honestly in 7 to 14 days help somebody? How many of you believe you could do that? If somebody said, I'm willing to do this, and you've worked with them for 7 to 14 days, do you think you could bring a positive impact in their life? How many of you believe that? Okay, I only see the captain raising his hand. I can see the rest of y'all. This isn't TV. Do you guys believe you could help people?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if you believe you can help people and they don't do what you're doing, who didn't believe you could help? Your prospect. So in this very short conversation, I need to find a goal. I need to find that thing that shows up in their mind going, I need help with this. Remember, what were the 3 questions? Do I have your permission to help? Do I have your permission to make you feel uncomfortable? Can I take you out of that uncomfortable feeling? So those 3 questions are running through their head. And when I ask, what's that thing in the next 7, 14, 30 days, that task, that goal, they're starting to think of a bunch of different things, right? A bunch of different things are popping up in their head that I can help you with. That if you took care of that, you would say, yes, I'm winning. So all of the things that are going on in their head, one thing is going to pop up. And it goes, ping. Now they have to ask for help. They have to reveal the thing they have not been able to do and tell you about it. How many of us love talking about our failures? Not me. But that's why we had to ask the questions. Because if you didn't ask those 3 questions, this problem still exists. That makes sense, right? So before you sat down to have a conversation, they were thinking about this problem. They are sitting down with you in hopes they can get an answer to this problem. But what aren't they going to do? Tell you about this problem. So your job, your responsibility as an entrepreneur, your responsibility as a network marketer is to find this problem, pull it out of them lovingly and caringly and fix it without them feeling less important. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
So the key is to get them to talk in your presentations, in your last 4 presentations or 5 or 10. Who did more of the talking? If you talked more than they did, you were in a monologue. You don't get paid to talk. Entrepreneurs or network marketers only get paid for 2 things. Do you know what those 2 things are? 1, find customers. 2, build leaders. That is the only thing we get paid for. Coming to this workshop today, you are not getting paid. Going home, you are not getting paid. Reviewing your notes, you are not getting paid. We only get paid for 2 things. 1, finding customers. How many of you would like more customers in your business? Number 2, build leaders. How many of you would like to build more people that are entrepreneurs like you? That's it. Those are the only 2 things we can do that the company will reward us. It doesn't matter if it's a traditional business or a network marketing business. We need customers and we need leaders. So look at your dialogue, look at your conversation. What has it been focused on? And if it's a mix of them, so let me ask this. Who in the room has children? Who has, does anybody have boys and girls in their family? See, we only have 1 boy. So if you've got boys and girls, here's my question. Do you talk to them differently?
Yes.
Anybody have young kids versus older kids? Do you talk to them differently?
Yes.
Yes, you do. And you don't, I can't talk to Mason the same way I talk to my bride, Michelle. Now, we have known each other. I've known Michelle for longer, but I can't talk to Mason the same way I talk to my bride. You can't talk to customers the same way you talk to business builders. That's why it's so critical you figure out which one they are. Now, can a business builder say, I'm a business builder, but yet they're only a customer? Yep. Can a customer say, I'm only a customer, but they become a business builder? Yes. But there's a transition, isn't there? So it's important to understand the dialogue, the conversation that's coming out of your mouth is to let them, it's called self-identification. Let them identify where they are. Because if you've ever said, this would be so good for you, you just made them go, whoop, and shut off. Because it just does. So there's customer dialogue and there's business builder dialogue. What has your dialogue in the last 3 or 4 presentations sounded like? Has it sounded like a customer? Has it sounded like a business builder? Or has it been this mix of, hey, you can get started, get the products, and then you can go share it with people and make some money? You've got to keep these things separate. Now, they may cross back and forth, but if you have a dialogue that just has them both, the person is unclear what they need to do. That's why it's so important we find the one thing that's most important for them to do. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Now, I've done that twice. What did I do? I've paused for a second, and I've asked your brain to reinforce, is this making sense or it's not? And if it's making sense, you said, yeah, I like this. The brain's going, okay, we like this. It's not a threat, because when it's all said and done and I ask you to take the next step, what has your brain agreed to the last to our conversation. This is okay. I can take the next step. So if you're not asking those questions, does this make sense? Do you understand? Do you feel comfortable with this? See, if you weave those questions in your conversation, it gets them to believe they can do what you're talking about. Pretty powerful, isn't it? And trust me, I didn't create this. I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I'm a farm boy from Ohio. What I've done is I've learned from the masters how to make this real simple, real easy. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to ask you, I've been talking for an hour. What questions have come up? And Captain, if you want to just help me, if anybody's got questions or wants more explanation on something we've covered so far.
Anyone has question? Yeah, ask the question.
Let's see here.
I want to say a big thank you for the opportunity given to us this morning. It's a great privilege having you around us, though online, but at least you are having us with this training. I want to say a big thank you to you. My question is, sometimes in network marketing, I'm into network marketing, so I want to ask a question as regards that. When you get prospects and you sign them into your business, they join you because they believe the opportunity you are giving them that is going to, improve them, is going to give solution to the problem they have. But at the cost of going, you discover that they were not really doing those things they are promised they will be able to do. Discover that by the time you want to make them to become a core team member, you discover that it will look as if you are now forcing them to do things, to follow instructions. So how do you now get stopped? At times you chat, you call to ask why they are not doing much the way they started, and they get no answer to that. And how do you now move forward from there? Do you leave them and go look for another team member, or you still try to encourage them? And how do you get that result?
Cool. Now, Captain, can you come up closer to the computer and just repeat that? Give me a synopsis of that, because I heard it. We give people directions, and how do we keep them plugged in? But can you give me a little bit more of? Yeah, I'm sorry. And tell me your name.
I want to say thank you before asking my question, but let me say a big thank you for this amazing opportunity, having you as a coach and having you to train us this morning. My question goes this way. Sometimes when I'm into network marketing and also product selling, sometimes in the course of this opportunity, when you sell this, your opportunity to people for the first time, they accept it, and with all with the joy to actually do better, and with the joy that you're actually giving them a solution to a particular problem they had. But at the cost of doing business with them, you discover that they cannot really do much more. Like when they started, like when they join you, will put all effort to make sure that they are still moving, calling, chatting, following up with them. You discover that they are still there, they don't want to move. Do you leave them, in your process of trying to make them a core member, becoming a leader like you, and be happy doing the business, but they just want to be there? Do you leave such people and look for another team member to work with, or you still try to encourage them and still work with them? So in that, when you find yourself in that situation, what do you do?
That is one of the greatest questions I get asked all the time. Thank you for asking that. So, how many of you would like an answer to that question? Cool. So, awesome. It's a great question. So, in a nutshell, people decide to get started and they say they're going to do everything. They do some of the things and then they don't seem to stay engaged. So here you may want to write this down. People do things for one reason. They do the reason for themselves, not for me. So, what if we could find the one thing that's most important to them? So let me share with you what I've done with my teams. If I have personally sponsored somebody, in my intake session, in my getting started session, how many of you have a getting started session? We help them through the process. Here's what I do. I ask them to write down 21 things they want from their business. What are 21 goals they want from their business? Why do I do that? Why do I ask them to write down 21 things? Couple of reasons. There's a bunch of reasons. One, I want them to start to think of the possibility of what they could do by being successful in this business. Oh, and by the way, I give them a 5-minute time frame. This is important because we need to change the way they think, right? We need to change the way that their pattern runs. So I ask somebody, I would say, here's my question to you. Do you want this to work or do you want this to be a burden? No, I want it to work. Great. Remember, if you've asked the 3 questions, permission to help, make feel uncomfortable, take you out of the uncomfortable feeling. Question number 2 is make you feel a little uncomfortable. So good, I need to take you through an exercise for success. Are you okay with that? Yes. I need you to get out a sheet of paper and I'm going to time you. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to write down 21 things you want from your business. What do you mean? What are 21 things you would want to be able to achieve from being successful in your business? Ready? Go. 5 minutes goes through. Sometimes people will only get 7 or 8 things. They'll only get 10 things. Somebody may get 20 things. But now here's the key. Here's how we achieve, here's how we keep people from unplugging from the system. So I've sponsored in my 18 years, probably, I'm not a big sponsorer. I've probably sponsored 57 people. There's people who sponsor 57 people in a month. That's not me. I sponsored 2 people down in Latin America, and that team has turned into close to 3,000 people. So I'm very particular who I sponsor. But I walk them through this list. So here's the point. Now, so I'm just doing something here real quick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So when that person is done, they're going to have a list. And that list is going to list however many things they wrote down in 5 minutes. We're going to find out what's the most important thing to them. If we could find out the most important thing to our prospects, do you think they would be more engaged in their business? The answer is yes. So what we do, this is key. Now you may have to watch the replay for this to get it more. But what I would say is take your number 1 goal and your number 2 goal and tell me which one is more important. So let's do the exercise real quick. Take your pen and just write down 3 things that are important for your business. Real quick, everybody, just write down 3 things that are important for your business. And so my question is, what's more important, number 1 or number 2? Well, I want both. I put it on the list. No, I understand that. But if you could only have one, well, I want to buy a new house and I want to take care of my mom and dad. If you could only do one of those, which would you do? I take care of mom and dad. So now that's the most important goal. Then I take that and I play it against the next one. What I'm doing is I'm looking to find the thing that's most important. And if I can find the number 1 goal that's important to them, when they decide to disengage, when they decide to stop working, when they say, I'm too busy, I have a list for all 57 of what their goals are. And what happens is we find out that one goal is more important than the rest. I would call somebody up. You can't see that. And I would say, hey, remember your goal number 3? Is that still important? Yes. Have you found somebody else more committed than me to help you to reach that goal? No. Then we need to get back to work. See, what's happened is, and again, this is a great question you asked. What's happened is that they started off with your business and they got busy doing the business and they stopped doing what? Their old pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And because you broke their old pattern, what was stronger in their life? Their new pattern or their old pattern? The old pattern. So they did what? They went back to it. And then they came up with excuses why they went back to it. Remember, our job is to only do one of 2 things. Find customers. What's the other one? Build leaders. This teaches me how to build leaders. Because if I come to you and I say the most important goal you have is your children, I'm committed to helping you take care of your children. Are you ready to get back to work? You can't argue with this. You can't give me excuses about this goal. You can't say, well, no, I lied. That's not important. Taking care of my family or making a living or moving somewhere or doing something. Yeah, no, that's not important. I lied. You see how important it is to find out where they are starting from. The sooner we find out where they're starting from, we can help them build the path to where they want to get to. Here's my question for you. That building that you're currently in, how many of you took the exact same path to get there today? You started from your homes, you started from where you live, and you all, at some point, you may have crossed each other and got onto the same path, but everybody started from a different place, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes.
The ultimate goal was the building today.
Yes.
Everybody you talk about is starting in a different place. You have to find, your responsibility as an entrepreneur is to find out where they're starting from. The end place, the end result is called success in your business. Whether that be the first rank or the second rank or an entrepreneur. But what you're doing right now is not where they're at. And while we're going through these paths, it's important they see other people succeeding as well. So I call this exercise the 21 questions. And those 21 questions have allowed me, doing this exercise, this one exercise has created for me well over 7 figures in income. Over $1 million this page has created for me. I hope it creates a lot more for you. You guys are a lot smarter than I am. But that allowed me to figure out where they're at. That makes sense? Cool. Great question. Awesome question. See, that question told me that you're doing both. You're finding customers, but you are building leaders, and you've built leaders who have gotten started, moved, but then they stopped. And at some point you said, I'm a failure. I'm not that I'm a failure. I need to get better. You don't need to get better. You need to teach them how to get better. And that's what this exercise does. It allows you to keep them focused on the goal.
Thank you so much. Then I'm able now to understand that the first time I'm missing them, I should be able to identify the reason why they are joining the business, their goal, what they actually want to achieve. And at the point where they are being hooked or stopped, I should be able to go back to that why and the goal, then pick them up from there. Thank you so much.
Now, so you mentioned another key word. How many of us, when we were little and we did something wrong, what's the first thing our parents asked us? Why did you do that? So, couple of things. The word why, when we talk, and we talk about this in the profession all the time, find their why. I'd ask you to look at it a little different. Find their why not. What's the thing that would keep that there's nothing that could happen that would keep them from doing it? Their why is their family. Yeah, but it's really not, otherwise they've been doing it. What's their why not? What does failure look like? What forces people to do things they don't want to do? So that's a great point. Great question. I'm glad that was of value. Here, I'll do one more little training. Is it okay if I do one more little training?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you have ever had somebody say yes to you and you got all excited and they never did anything?
Yes.
So you may want to write this down. There's actually 4 yeses. There's 4 kinds of yeses. And so when somebody says yes, we think, so one of the first yeses is called a commitment yes. And a commitment yes says, hey, listen, I'm going to meet you at the office. I'm going to meet you at the office building at 2 o'clock. Will you be there? And you say yes. What do you expect to happen?
Captain, hold on. They just took the light. This is Africa. Light is not stable.
The lights aren't stable, but you know what is? The people.
The people are not stable.
Captain, just hold on while we restore the generator, the power back, okay?
All right, no problem, my friend. Thanks, brother.
Networking. The center.
Hey everybody, it's Sean Murphy. I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm just doing an incredible conversation with folks in Africa, in Nigeria, and we're sitting there, and this screen up here, they've got a classroom there of people, and we're just sitting there having a conversation. All of a sudden, the power goes out. There's a dozen people in that room right now, and they all just sat there. The power went out, and they went, and the captain, Mubalaji, went out and put the power generator on. My question to you is this: how many times have your passion, how many times have you had the desire to go learn something and things have been inconvenient for you? I can tell you, these souls that are in Nigeria today that I'm talking with are absolutely some of the world's best and brightest. The questions they've been asking me, their passion they've been asking me, it's just been incredible. I love to see this incredible desire to want to make the world a better place. So the power went out, the power's back on, right? Because they went and got the generator started. See, the power's back on. My question for you is this: if your power goes out, do you know how to instantly start your generator? Do you know how to instantly go get yourself back in business? Because I can tell you, this community in Nigeria did, and I just absolutely love entrepreneurs. So I'm going to get back to the training. We've been going for about 2 hours now, and I'll see you all where? At the next. I love you all. So I'm going to get back to this group. And I got to tell you, I love every one of them. I'm watching them, and the questions are brilliant. So I love you all. And when you guys from Nigeria watch this again, put some comments in there. Say, I was in the room. I love you tons. Bye for now. Okay, Captain, I'm back.
Yeah, we back.
Yeah, we back.
So you're saying about the yeses?
So the 3 yeses. So there's actually 4 yeses. There's 4. So number 1 is called commitment yes. And a commitment yes is if I say, yes, I'm going to be there, what do you expect? You'll be there. So commitment. You know what the problem is? Most yeses we get in business is a counterfeit yes. So if you ask me something and I say yes, and it's a counterfeit yes, what is your expectation? I'm not going to do it. But you know what your brain does? Your brain says, oh, the captain said yes. He means it. He's going to do it. And then he doesn't. And then who gets disappointed? We do. And our pattern says, I don't believe yeses anymore. I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to feel uncomfortable anymore. And you stop building your business. So number 1 was commitment. Number 2 was counterfeit. Here's the 3rd one. How many of you have ever asked somebody to join you in business and they asked you for a website? They asked you to try the product.
Yes.
That's called a confirmation yes. Confirmation. I'll do it once I confirm the information is true. What do you think the chances are of a confirmation yes becoming a commitment yes? Not so good. What do you think the chances of a counterfeit yes becoming a commitment yes? So that's number 3 is confirmation. Here's the 4th yes. It's called the dirty yes.
The
The dirty yes. And that is when somebody says yes and they really mean what? That's the dirty yes. So if you go back to look at your presentations and you go back to looking at when people said yes, you can now identify it. So how would you like, would it be okay if I taught you how to figure out which yes they really mean? Would that be good? Okay, good. So here's how, again, here's how you use questions to get the best answer, as the captain said in the beginning over 2 hours ago. Good Lord, we've been talking for 2 hours. Are y'all okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know I had that much to say. So here's what happens. So if the captain says to me, I say, Captain, I need you at a conference call tomorrow at Thursday, or I want you to come to an event we're having on Saturday at 2 o'clock, or anything. If the captain says yes, I would say this. You know, Captain, remember I said I wanted to help you? This is why those 3 questions are so powerful. Remember when we started this? I said, do I have your permission to help? Yeah. Do I still have that permission? Yeah. Listen, you just said yes to me. Here's how you respond to a yes. Tell me what that yes means. And you can watch their head go and smoke pour out their ears. Because nobody has ever asked anybody to define their yes. See, this is one of the greatest secret conversations for prospects to say no, to get you out of their hair, to get you to stop asking them, is to say what? Yes. Yes. How many of you have ever been in an argument with a friend? And you got so mad, what did you say? You're right. You're right.
No qualms, no problem.
And you knew dang well they weren't. But you just wanted to stop talking. So you said, you're right. What can you say after you're right? What can you say after somebody says yes? Nothing. But what I've learned is that if I ask one more question, you know what, Captain? I hear yes all of the time. Tell me what that yes means to you. And you'll find out if it's the commitment yes, if it's the counterfeit yes, if it's the confirmation yes, or if it's the dirty yes. Dirty yes or the ugly yes. How many of you are going back to your presentations? How many of you are right now in your head going back to people who said yes, and you're now realizing it was everything but the commitment yes? And then what happens? We feel bad, and that breaks our pattern. We don't want a pattern of feeling bad, so we stop asking people. Folks, this is not your fault. You are amazing souls. You are brilliant. You are champions. You deserve everything you are shooting for and going for and working towards. Nobody should ever, none of these yeses, the counterfeit, the confirmation, or the dirty yes, should ever keep you from reaching your goals.
Mm.
You deserve more. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain, we good, brother?
Yeah, we good. We good. I have a question, though.
Yes, brother.
Okay. Now the question is around products. What advice can you give around people buying your product, then after using it for a while, now coming to say, oh, I got it cheaper online somewhere else, so I won't be paying you the price that we earlier agreed. I'll be paying you something cheaper.
Okay. So you have to again set the stage, because if a result appears, it's because they were able to get off of the path. So the question is, how important is it for you to have service, right? Because online there's no service, there's no personal interaction. And the question is that one of the things that I ask people is it okay if I help you get your product for free? Because online, I don't think you can get this product for free. But I would love to make sure, if you're open to it, if it's okay if we help you get it for free. How do you help somebody get their product for free? They have to give you some more customers. You're not asking them to do the business. You're just asking them if they want it the cheapest possible price available, and that's free. That's really it's the only way I've worked with dealing with the internet. Because you could ask people, listen, if you found this for less money, would you want it for less money or for more money? Right? You got to set the stage in their brain. Well, no, I'd want it for less money. If I could teach you how to get it for free, would you want to do that?
Okay. That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, we get paid for two things. We don't get paid for people going to buy it on the internet unless they're buying it through our site. So we have to learn how to keep customers and develop business builders. Sometimes we have to teach a customer to how to be a good customer.
Okay. And how can we teach them to become a good customer?
Well, a good customer is ask them, I want you to be my best customer ever. What do you think? Again, I ask questions. What do you think it takes to be a good customer? See, we never ask these questions because we just assume. Well, you can't assume. There's three kinds of teachers, three kinds of coaches. There's a teacher, and a teacher will teach you what you didn't know. Right? Like a school teacher teaches you math and reading and science and all of that stuff. The second kind of coach is a coach. If I play golf and I want to learn how to go play better golf, I'm going to go to somebody who can teach me golf. So, and then there's a third teacher, and that's a mentor. And a mentor teaches you things you didn't know you could do. Right? Mubalaji said, I'm a mentor of his. I taught him how to do things he didn't know he could do. I'm teaching you today, you can ask questions you didn't think you could ask. You can ask them any questions if you've asked the first three questions. Permission to help, make you feel uncomfortable, take you out of the uncomfortable feeling. So I ask people, do you want to be a good customer or a bad customer? What? You can ask them. Listen, Captain, do you want to be a good customer of mine or a bad customer? A good customer. What do you think good customers do? Buy from me. I know it seems silly, but if you're not asking that, then you're not putting them on the path to be a good customer. And why would somebody stop buying from you? I'm asking everybody in the room. Look at yourself, think of yourself. Why would somebody stop buying from you? You're super cool. You're awesome. The reason they stop buying from you is because they don't feel loved by you. Ooh, did he just yell at us? Ooh. No, I'm just telling you the truth. If they stop buying from you, it's because you stopped making them feel important. If price is what they're buying, they're not important. You haven't made them feel important. This is a leadership conversation. If this was like a business opportunity meeting, I wouldn't be talking this strong, this in your face kind of conversation. But you're all leaders and you want to leave here today to go change the world and make it a better place. So that's why we're kind of having this tough. Plus, I asked you question number 2. Question number 2 was what? Could I make you feel a little uncomfortable? Y'all good with this?
Yeah, we're good with this.
So, Captain, what I'm going to ask you to do with the group there, once we're done here, is the 2 questions that I always ask. So, folks, I want you thinking about this. And you can go to my page and post it, or you can do it however you want. But I really want you to do this. We've spent 2 hours together. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. And these are 2 powerful questions you can ask everybody in your community as well, in your business. So after I spend time with people, whether it's a CEO or a president of a country or an amazing group in Nigeria, I ask 2 questions. And here's the 2 questions. What's one thing you learned from our conversation today? Oh my gosh, you covered so much. I know, but what's the one thing that jumps out at you? So that's question number 1. You may want to write that down. What's the one thing you learned today? And the second question is, what's the one thing you liked today? What's the one thing that just made you feel good about today? And again, it doesn't have to be about me. What's one thing you learned and one thing you liked? I'm going to ask you to reply and to give the captain some feedback on that, because if we spent 2 hours and you can get one thing that you learned that you can go use to build your business, that's awesome. And if you found one thing that you liked, that's awesome, because we do things we enjoy doing. So that's what I would leave you with. And Mubalaji, if you could send that to me, or if people are going to post it on you feel free to contact me, connect with me on my Facebook page. I'd love to connect with you and be of service. So, and let's plan on doing another one of these meetings here not too long from now.
Cool. Can we give Captain a round of applause?
I love you all, honestly. I can't wait to meet you. I've been asked to come to Nigeria a couple of times, and the last time was about, I forget how long ago it was, but there was going to be about 7,000 people in the arena, and the State Department asked me to not come because there was some unrest that was happening. But let's see if we can't change that again. I'd love to come back to Nigeria and just have some fun and do a training with y'all.
Oh, thank you so much. So, can we just give a round of applause to Captain for the amazing training that he has given to us today. So let me just change the view a bit. So, do you have any last question before the captain says goodbye for now? Do you have any question? Okay, they have questions, Captain.
Okay, go ahead. Ask them to me, Mubalaji.
Just hold on for a minute. Let me expand this back. Hello? So you raise your voice a bit.
Hello.
Captain, I want to really thank you for your time spent with us. And in fact, I'm really happy because I had other things doing. I was just like, I will make it a day here. And in fact, I have not for 1 minute regret my coming here today.
Wow.
I want to, Captain, one big thing I want you to, like a motivating word that will always bring in our mind. Because over 20 years I've been doing business, I've had obstacles. I wanted to do something new. I joined multi-level marketing. I've not really gone far in it, but something inside me told me if others are doing their excelling, I would equally excel. I heard about TMC, I joined TMC, we've been canvassing it. We have not really had a great breakthrough. But with what I have in my mind, I believe I will do it.
Wow.
I want you to now give us like a motivating statement or word that will keep ringing in our mind that we should not let go. Because prospects in Nigerians are very, very difficult. And actually, most of the problems and the things that have been running in my mind, you have answered them today.
Oh.
The 4 years and the why and the endless questions we'll ask them that will make them feel important. You have answered all of them. I want you to give us that motivating statement that will be a driving force in our heart that will not let us let go. And
So,
if I have opportunity to come to Dallas, your door will be the first I will knock on.
So, what's the motivating? So, there's a simple phrase that says, "If not this, then what? If not you, then who? And if not now, then when?" So the question is, see, you have a unique, and I say this community in Nigeria, you have a very unique opportunity. And why do I say that? Because you can literally change your country by giving people an opportunity to create income that they would have never had before. Most people can't start a business in any country. They can't afford it. It's too expensive. There's no training. This profession, MLM, stands for me loving more, not multi-level marketing, not in my eyes. MLM stands for me loving more. And I can't think of a community that loves their friends and neighbors more than communities in Nigeria. So, what's that motivating phrase? If not this, then what? If not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Now, I didn't create that. That's not my saying. I've repeated it for hundreds of years. But it gets that person to think, if you don't do this, what are you going to do? And if you don't start now, when will you start? And if you don't take care of your future, who will? If not this, then what? If not now, then when? And if not you, then who? Does that help?
Yeah, it does help. So, any other question? Any other question? Okay. So, thank you so much, Captain. So, I will follow up with the assignments you've given to me to find out what they like. You have a question?
What'd you learn and what'd you like?
Yeah, someone has a question. Someone has a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here this morning. In fact, my eyes are very open and I'm really grateful to be here. There's one question I want to ask. You know, we're already building our team and we have them already there. And assuming before we start building team, we have this training, maybe it will be maybe good or better. But how can we now transfer this training now to those that we have before and now start, helping them to grow. I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, just once they're done, Captain, okay, you're done?
Yes.
Okay. Captain, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. So, you can ask, did you get the question?
So the question is people that couldn't attend the training, how do we get them to watch the training or participate in the next training?
No. What I mean is that assuming before we start building our team now, like me, I'm a multi-level marketer. Now I already have a team that I'm building. And before I've not listened to this kind of training before I started building them. Now, how do I now transfer it to them? Because there was nothing like 21 questions. There were only like why and why do you want to join my team and the rest like that. Now, how do I want to go back? Because we're already having so many negative mindsets, so many discouragement and the rest like that. But there was even one yesterday that was telling me that she's just discouraged and she's not just doing again and the rest like that. I have to now be encouraging her and the rest. Now, how do you want us to now? How do you now go back to them and start telling them, okay, write these 21 questions, as in, just to create that kind of a new mind.
Got it. That's an awesome question. I love this question. This tells me how you just told me so much about you, about your passion and desire to make sure that you can give, right? That's a woman's makeup. You want to give back to your team. So here's what you do. You learned a lot this morning, this afternoon. And now here's what happens when you go back to your team and you say, oh my gosh, we got Captain Murphy from Dallas and he spent 2 hours. We typically say, how many of you have ever said this? You should have been there. So I don't want their brain to shut down because they couldn't do what I did. Remember, our goal is to get our brains in sync. But because you came to this workshop today, you are now this much smarter than them. And when you say, oh, I've got so much information, I need to give it to you, they're not ready. So here's a suggestion. Here's what I would suggest. If Captain didn't come to the event and I was at the event, I'd go back to my team. I would go back to Captain and say, wow, my head is exploding. I got to ask you a question, Captain. Captain Murphy told us to ask this. Captain Mubalaji, what's that thing, that goal you wanted from your business? Remember the list of 21? If you don't have that, I'd go back to Mubalaji and I'd say, Mubalaji, what's that thing you wanted from your business? Most people would say to make money, to reach a rank, to do something. Here's key. This is important. Whatever they say, well, I wanted to make $200. Oh my gosh, he talked about that. I want to buy my own home. He talked about that. I want to go on vacation. He talked about that. Here's what's key, ladies and gentlemen. When you take this information, however you heard it today, and you take it back to your team, they will only listen to it if it has an answer for who? For them. So we have to find out the question they need an answer to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if we go back and say, what's that thing you wanted? What's that goal you wanted? And it doesn't matter what their answer is. Don't you have the answer for them? I want to make more money. I want to buy a house. I want to go on vacation. I want to travel to the US. I want to go to Egypt. No matter what their answer is, you can say, oh my gosh, I learned that. And here's why you say, I learned that, meaning you, because now you have permission to sit down and teach them what you learned. It makes it so much easier for this information to go back to the team, for them to absorb it, versus you coming back and going, okay, everybody sit down, I'm going to teach you what I know. Sit down, you don't know anything. I learned so much, I'm better than you. And they're going to all go, right? We've all done that, haven't we? I know I have. So again, Mubalaji started the workshop with it. The best answer is the best question. What's that thing? You know, oh, I'm so excited. I went to the event. I think I can help. What's that thing, that goal you wanted in the next 30 days? Because I can promise you, most people don't know what they're working towards. Most people haven't thought of the goal they want the solution for. But if you ask them, what's that thing you wanted? You told me you wanted something with this business. What's that goal you wanted? They talked about that. And soon as you say they talked about that, they said, I can get my answer to my what? To my problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Great question. Great question. I love it.
So, okay, this way. More questions for the captain?
I love this. This is so awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate the meeting with you. This is my first time of attending an entrepreneur meeting like this. And this is my first time of joining a networking business.
Congratulations. Let's give her a round of applause.
So I just decided on my own that let me just try something new without doing more stress, because I've heard of people doing networking business and getting something good out of it. Because I discovered that there are some people that are less spirited, that they need help. And when you show them a little kind of help, they turn you down. And from the things you get, the clue you gave us that if you really want to help people, you ask them 3 questions. Do I have your permission to help? How do I get out of your comfort feelings and all that? So I got to discover that those questions are really needed to be, are really, as in someone really needs to ask them those questions, because at times when you help some people, at the end of the day, you feel as if that why am I helping this person? He's not even putting effort, not doing as if, yes, they really need the help. So I think I'll need to go back and whosoever I'm showing the kind of help, I'll need to get the reason why, and are they really wanting to work? So aside from that, I would like to really know how to be a good leader, so that I won't fall victim like my sister has built up a team and the team is really falling back. So how to get it right, and with the little information I have with me, I think my next meeting will be really empowered and get more information on that. Thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Welcome to the profession. How do you become a better leader? Start with yourself. And what I mean by that is you shared that sometimes you want to help people and they pull you down. Here's my question. If you believe in you, can anyone ever pull you down?
No.
So if somebody can pull you down, it's because we need to get ourselves stronger. That's our brain, right? You are this powerful woman in a culture that women don't, and this is around the globe. Women don't have as much authority as guys do, but you're this entrepreneur now, and you're going to go talk to people and they don't see you as an entrepreneur, and they're going to go, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind? So I would encourage you to write your goals every day. Every morning when you wake up, what's your number one goal that you want to accomplish that day, and then don't let anybody, nobody, ever take you off of that dream. So one of the things you could say when you're having a conversation with somebody is, hey, listen, I'm not new to life, but I'm new to this business. Oh, hey, there's the power.
Okay, it's back.
Oh, look at that, like that. So here's the thing. Women, listen, and guys, don't get mad at me. Women, when they become powerful, become a threat. So if you know more than your neighbor, they're going to wind up what? Trying to pull you down. So it's not about knowing more, it's about giving more. If you get pulled down, it's because remember that, so when I started this 2 hours ago, this was full.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what now? Almost empty. Ladies, I'm talking to you. You think your energy level, your passion is full. You're starting out with an empty bucket because you have given so much. You do so much for others. You want to care for others. I'm going to encourage you to fill your cup back up. And if you fill your cup back up, it doesn't matter what somebody takes from you in your time and energy and emotion, your cup is always full. See, how many of these can I fill up from this container? None. I have to go fill this up. I've got to take the top off and I've got to pour more. Well, let's just do it now. I've got to take this and I've got to fill it up. How many of you take time to fill up your cup? Now, what's the problem with this one?
Empty.
Women, ladies, guys, in this profession, we go take everything we have and go give it to our team. And what do we have?
Become empty.
You've got to fill your cup up. Because if you keep your cup full, well, how do I fill my cup up? You come to events like this. How many of you have more energy about your business because you came to this event today?
Yeah.
Right? All I did was pour into you. I gave you everything I have for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. It doesn't matter. Why? Because I know how to fill my cup up. I walk out that door right there. That's my office door, and my family is on the other side of that wall. We will go to breakfast. We will laugh. We will have fun. My dogs are out there, and I'll go hug them and play and scratch their bellies. That fills up my cup. See, ladies, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but if you do something for yourself, and you, everybody in the room, guys included, if you do something for yourself, has anybody ever said this? Stop being selfish. I'm telling you to be self-full. And if you can be self-full, you'll never have to be selfish with your time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
When you get that, when that sinks in, boy, I got to tell you, I'm slow. I'm a farm boy from Ohio. I've been kicked by a lot of cows. That took me a long time to get. If I can fill my cup up, I can do anything, anything. Doesn't matter what the world is telling me. You're not good, you're not smart enough, you're not tall enough, you're not short enough, you're not white enough, you're not black enough, you're not Irish enough, you're not 1,001 things enough. Who do you need to be enough to?
Myself.
Yourself. Start taking care of you, and together we can take care of the world.
Thank you so much, Captain. Then there's been someone online, Samsung Galaxy. Will you have any questions to ask?
Samsung Galaxy. It says, okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate you, said privately. So thank you. Sorry, I read that out loud.
Are you there, Samsung Galaxy Tab E?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh, I really appreciate the training, and I thank God I didn't miss it. I enjoy every bit of the training. In order not to waste time, my only question is on because I do recruiting on social media, on the net, and I do marketing too. But I find out that some people find it difficult to commit their money, you know, to the person that they don't know. They will like the product, but they will not. They will hesitate to pay. So please, how can I handle this challenge, you know, as a networker? Thank you very much.
Great question. So the question is I recruit online and I have conversations with people, and people are hesitant to buy products from somebody they don't know about something they've never seen before.
Yeah.
So the reality is that people do business with who? People they know, like, and trust. So the question is, most online marketing trainings say you need to move them through the process. Some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't disagree with that. But what I look for is how much do you know about your prospects? How much do they know about you? So if you're online, do they have a place to where they can go learn about you? Do you have a Facebook page? I think you do. Do you have a website? So I would encourage you to be more open. So here, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to give you an example. Hold on.
Thank you.
Hey, Miss Jamison. Come here. So you've seen me for the last 2 hours. Watch this. Tell me if my perception changes. James, Beamish, come here. Come here. Now, all of a sudden, you see me with my dog. If you like dogs, did every one of you now all of a sudden think something different about me? Right? You need to be human. You need to be real with the people that you're talking to. And you may never see them, but they need to see you. Right? The other thing that is important with online marketing is at the very beginning of this workshop, somebody introduced me. Who introduced me? Mubalaji. And the reason he introduced me and he told you my resume is because I don't know any of you. He does. You have credibility. He has credibility with you. And because he told you my story, what did I instantly have with you? I had his credibility. So find a way for somebody you respect to do a little testimonial about you. To say, if you want to learn more about me, go to my page and you'll see somebody in your company, an upline in your company saying how important, and I'm just going to use your name because it's up here, Samsung Galaxy. I know that's not your name. But Samsung Galaxy has been so important in our business and in our corporation. He does this, 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 and this. And if you get a chance to do business with him, you'll be better for it. Now we need third-person credibility, and all of a sudden it makes it so much easier. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
You bet. In an instant, we can change our perception, because that's what, if people don't want to buy from us, it's because they don't know us. If people don't want to buy our products, they don't know our products. But I can tell you, if you show yourself as being human, being real, and not being an online marketer, that make sense?
Yes, please.
Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Listen, all of these are suggestions. They're not rules. I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I am a big fork. I will poke you to help you get things done.
Thank you very much.
My privilege, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me your time today. I appreciate it.
I thank you more for making yourself available to train us. We need more of it.
Good.
Thank you, my coach, Balaji.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. We are together. I'm behind you, sir.
I love it.
Okay. So, any other question?
No, not from me anyway. Not from me, sir.
Okay, no problem. Let me just add Joseph in the class.
Okay.
Any other question? Okay.
So, Mubalaji, I'm going to leave you with one more thing.
Okay.
For everybody that attended this event, and I'm not saying this to brag on me, I'm saying it for you to add more credibility to yourself. I typically, when I do a keynote speech like I did today, if I was on stage in front of your company, I was here for 2 hours, they would have paid $30,000 for this training.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying it to how the reason people pay me is because I can give them a return. The only reason somebody would spend $30,000 on me is because they were going to get $300,000 back from their sales team. So I'm going to throw this out. You could say I just spent time at a $15,000 training that I got because of my friend Captain Mubalaji. Would you like to learn more about it? And be that draw in, be that intriguing. You just went to a $15,000 training? I was a guest of my dear friend Captain Mubalaji. People are going to ask you, what did you learn, right? Because we associate, if something costs a bunch of money, it's got to be what? Have a bunch of value. And you could say, listen, it was a $30,000 training. I'll let you have it for $100. Right? So it's just this perception. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you invested in yourself. How many of you think you could go over the rest of your life, make $30,000 from this training, incorporate it, put it to use, and you could make an additional $30,000 over the course of the rest of your life? See, that's why you invested in yourself today. It's because you want to make that in a month. So there you are, Captain. I hope it was of value. Thank you so much. I love you. Honestly, I love you.
So much energy. And there's something I have to tell you, Captain. There's something that I've learned is that it's not the quantity that matters, but the quality in itself. Okay, and like the number of people that actually turned up eventually, okay, they are kind of low, but the quality seems to have been the highest personally that I've actually experienced, because it hasn't been this deeply engaging, and it's a big lesson learned from me. And one thing I've learned from you as well is that to give your all irrespective, and you being uncomfortable is something you are used to now, waking up as early as 7 a.m. or before 7 a.m. and taking time, so much time, that people pay thousands and thousands of dollars for to actually impact us here in Africa. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you so much. And thank you so much. And I'm over 100% sure that the rest of the team, if I told them, or if we told them that, remember the captain that came the other time, he'll be giving us another training I don't think this place is going to fill us, or we will have to get a bigger venue for that. That I can guarantee you. So thank you so much, Captain. I have this recorded. Once I've downloaded them, I will share them with you, and I'll follow up with the other team members so that we can still discuss and look at how we can impact ourselves more and impact the society and the world at large more. So thank you so much, Captain, and we appreciate you so much.
Love you, Muvalavji. Thank you, Captain. I appreciate you all. Go make the world a better place, but start with you. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits, and I'll see you where?
At the next event.
Bye for now, everybody.
Bye. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Okay, so let me just stop the recording. No, stop it. Hold on. Do you want to stop the recording? Okay, you say when you give me notification.